Angela would have to take me with her, and she would cut out of school or be smoking in the schoolyard, and then I would go home. Of course, I was 6 years younger than her, and I would tell my mother, Angela's smoking.
And listen, not everybody's going to agree with my decision. I can give a fuck less. You're in that position, it's you who got to face it, then you do what you need to do.
Little Changolini, he gets to the jail and
steal cars from Maryland and take them to Delaware to a chop shop.
The inside prison in Thailand, as well as what Victor Malarek, the reporter, did to get me out of there.
And I sat down and thought about it for the longest time, okay? But once I made up my mind, it was about survival. I need to take care of my kids and take care of my family. And when a guy's not being loyal to you, how could you be loyal to him?
Welcome to Chattin with Staxx. Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to Springfield again. There's a lot of stuff going on up there. It seems like it never ends in Springfield. But I'm bringing you just the facts of what's out there. And there was a newspaper article came out yesterday about Springfield, Mass. And we're going to go over it. So before we get started, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Southie, what's up? Paul, how are you? Ronnie, what's up, man? So, crazy stuff. But we're going to get into it. So, Springfield has been quite the town, quite the city. And Mass Live did an article. What's up, man? Jeff, how are you? Shout out to MTR Network. Now, this is going to be some pretty telling information I'm about to give you. And I hope you guys like it. It's pretty crazy. We're going to see what you guys think of this. I was like, wow, when I read this article, I was like, holy shit. Now, this is what's going on. This is Springfield, Mass, okay? We're going to Springfield, Mass. Mob informant Anthony Ariala swaggers back into Springfield scene. Not all concrete. All right. 20 years ago, Anthony Ariala stood from the bottom makeshift grave in Agawam, feeling on top of the world. He had two fellow organized crime members had spent hours digging a hole meant for a thug they wished dead. They labored in the wooded lot at behest of mob boss Adolfo Bruno in the fall of 2003. Ariala, then in his early 30s, was on the edge of a coup. The mob landscape in Western Mass was so violent at the time. He recalls the grave could have been the final resting place for any number of criminals, including himself. But he didn't end up there. Instead, Ariala betrayed his oath to the mob and testified against his cohorts during two murder trials in federal court in Manhattan on 2011 and 2012. Now, I'm going to show you guys pictures to go with all this stuff. So these are the two people he testified against. And this is one of the guys that he killed, or he had killed. And then he goes back to the social club, the scene of the crime, and films a podcast there. This is where he was. It's crazy. Like, it's just crazy. It's very disrespectful. But we're going to get into all that because Mr. Albert Calvanese, he's a big part of that club, and he's up in Springfield, right? He's in this article, quoted by Ariella. All right, so he spent 8 years in federal witness security program while in prison, then cut ties with the program despite the risk and returned to his hometown in 2017. After a brief stint as a car salesman, Ariella joined former mobsters trying to parlay their celebrity on social media platforms. I've murdered, I've beaten, I've robbed. What else is there realistically for me to do professionally in this area? He asked. Today, Ariella features prominently in his podcast produced by Vox Media and hosted by former U.S. Attorney Eli Hung, called Up Against the Mob, the Springfield Crew, Part 7, weekly series launched March 1st, covers the arc of organized crime in Springfield since Bruno's rise to power on his own. He's been producing YouTube videos on his channel he calls Money, Mayhem, and the Mafia. And they put a link for his channel. If you guys want to see this article, you can just go in the description of this video and you can look up the article. Let me shut this off so you guys don't hear that dinging every 2 seconds. Shit gets annoying. So they put a link for his show. I'm not here to slander anybody. I'm not here to cause drama for people. He says in a show opening episode, I think Connecticut and Western Mass doesn't get the notoriety it deserves as far as organized crime went. There was a lot of infamous gangsters who were involved in this area. It's been a long road for Ariella. Scroll back in 2003. Genevieve's crime family leadership was a flux of Springfield crew. Ariella, amidst the overwhelming Bruno mentor in the ropes, longtime organized crime allies in New York, murdered for years by a paid hitman, solicited by Ariella and his close ally. Ariella entangled to be a made man, an untouchable in the mob world, able to yield power in regional rackets beyond, through the power trends to be fleeting. Ariella says he knew the risk, and hence he jokes about the grave being for anyone. While we were digging, Freddie and I joked that Amelia was lucky he wasn't going to end up there because it would have been a perfect plan. Ariella said during his series of interviews with the Republican. He was speaking to Freddie Diaz and Amelia Fusco, the two mob associates caught up in the swirl of the power play Ariella was leading. The pair later become his co-defendants in a murder and racketeering prosecution in the mob in Springfield. They were convicted of murdering both Bruno and Ariella's brother-in-law, Gary Westerman, who ended up in the grave that they dug in Agawam. The flip. Ariella turned government witness on March 10th, shortly after his arrest for the murders, and it didn't take him long. He landed by federal authorities in one of the most significant cooperation witnesses against the Genovese crime family ever. The news of his changing allies become public. In the mob world, wonder what convinced a young startup from Springfield who had sworn his loyalty to the New York mob and then poised to run a Springfield outpost. Former prosecutor who worked extensively with Ariella and his witness said it was a practical matter. No one flipped Anthony. Anthony flipped himself, said Hong. Once he headed organized crime unit in Southern District of New York. He now is the author and senior legal analyst on CNN. He did the calculus very quickly for himself and his family. I don't mean that in an insulting way. He figured out a way out very quickly. Ariella avoided a mandatory life sentence in exchange for his cooperation. And he mirrored in legal personal problems. He had to make a move. That was my squeal point. My squeal point was life. Ariella said of his move, I got caught cheating on my ex-wife. I was facing the death penalty. I had to make a decision. Ariella was spot on the witness. He was a spot on witness, laying bare many crimes to law enforcement and convincing a jury in 2011 in a case involving Bruno and Westerman slaying. In recent interviews, Ariella doubled down on his court testimony. Westerman was initially shot twice in the head by Giaz, but didn't immediately die. So Ariella and Fusco rushed from a nearby shed and bludgeoned him with a shovel. Today, Ariella regards the final blows as an act of mercy. I didn't want him to be buried alive. There are things I won't do, like burn someone to death or bury them while they're still breathing. That's not right. Westerman became the target when he was outed as a police informant. He was also married to Ariella's much younger sister-in-law, angered the family. He was a vulnerable mark in a violent crime. Bruno wasn't far behind him. 3 weeks later, on November 23rd, 2003, Bruno was gunned down by a hitman hired Frankie Roach in the parking lot of Our Lady Mount Carmel Social Club. An FBI memo leaked out. Bruno had passed the conversation with a federal agent. Ultimately, Ariella, Freddie Giaz, and his younger brother Ty, and Fusco, the late Genovese street boss, Artie Negro, were convicted in the murder conspiracy. The Giaz are serving life sentences. Negro died in prison. Fusco is serving 25 years. Roach pleaded guilty to his role in the murder and entered the witness protection program, where he stayed. His whereabouts are unknown. Ariella returned to Western Mass, seemingly was a risk to prospects of law enforcement. They tried to discourage this and dissuade him from leaving the safety of the witness protection program. I felt we extended every effort to persuade him from coming back to his area. This was probably not the best thing for his safety, said Thomas Murphy, a retired Massachusetts State Police captain. Murphy was one who investigated and pursued Ariella, then served as one of his handlers after he turned government witness. We acted in his best interest, and we did everything we could to convince him. But in the end, he's a grown man, and he wanted to do what he wanted to do. The new look. Now let's get into the new look. This is the new look of the mob boss from Springfield. I think it's a little too big for you there, Chief. All right. Up to this point, Ariella was unsuitable. I don't know what the hell that means. Flooding YouTube, mob genre shows, and promoting a book and other projects. He traded insults with frenemies on social media feeds, on his YouTube channel, from his home base in the South End social media, on the South End Social Club, where Al Bruno was murdered. he relies on outsized confidence that drove up from the ranks of mob soldier and boss. Organized crime experts note Areola has defied gravity in the mob world by returning to the place where he broke the ranks. They say it says a lot about the current landscape about the mafia. Anthony should consider New York is only 2 hours away from Springfield, said Scott Bernstein, co-author of Family Affair, Greed, Treachery, and Betrayal, and founder of The Gangster Report. Go check him out. Scott's a great guy. However, the present organized crime network, scant in Western Mass, with few stragglers, appears to have turned more forgive and forget crowd. Areola says he has mended fences with surprising players, including Albert Calvanese, a reputed leader of loan sharking scene who has served 5 years in prison. Areola refers to himself as a cooperator, as opposed to an informant who wore a wire on his cohorts. He didn't do that. And it's important and distinction. It's a important distinction in this world. He insists. He thought it may seem like a mental gymnast to others. Bernstein, who has covered mob from Detroit to Massachusetts for over 20 years, is somewhat repelled by the YouTube world. It's like a circular shooting gallery. In its cooperators and informants attacking each other, Bernstein said. Areola's becoming has not been without a few bumps in the road. He was arrested in 2019 on charges of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. This is the picture from that arrest. Wow, there's a lot of comments. Sorry, I'm not getting to them. Shout out to everyone that's watching, man. I appreciate you guys. Hey, I'm just reading you guys this article, and we're going to give you the facts of the matter, and that's it. And you guys be the judge. So he got arrested in 2019, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, according to the police reports. Late in the day on January 6th. Oh, shit, what's this? Late in the day on January 6th, a driver plowed a large white Cadillac into Areola's car and his garage in East Forest Park. He then peeled over the lawn and took out a mailbox. Areola and another witness heard and saw the incident, but they could not identify the car or the driver, according to the police report. It can't be ruled out that the incident could be related to his past ties in the mob or his antics on social media. Areola declined to comment about this incident. No arrests have been made. Of his inventory of lost perks after leaving the mob, Areola says he misses the money and notoriety. He knew I'd come back. I knew I'd come back here, and it would be the babyface killer anymore. I would have girls throwing themselves at me. I'd have to make my way and find myself, Areola says. He also pangs over sending his friend Giaz away for life and insists he gave them a way out. I don't believe that shit, though. I really don't. But hey, you can keep saying whatever you want. I don't really feel bad, he said. I offered them a decision to come with me, and they chose to roll the dice. They're not here because of me. They're not there because of me. But I bet you Freddie and Ty would disagree with you, Areola. Freddie gained even higher profile in prison when he's charged with killing the Boston mobster and FBI informant James Whitey Bulger in 2018, less than 24 hours after Bulger arrived in federal prison where Gies was being held. Bulger came to a grisly end when a group of inmates allegedly attacked him while he was in a wheelchair shortly after arriving at FCI Hazleton, a federal prison in West Virginia known as Misery Mountain. Crazy. Gies, who recently moved back to maximum security prison in Colorado, spending more than 3 years in isolation. In a recent letter to reporters, Gies wrote, "I hope the Bureau of Prisons place him somewhere normal." Despite pleading guilty to Bruno murder, Areola says he didn't want his former mentor killed, but pressure was coming from the bosses in New York. "I didn't want Bruno to die," Areola says. "I would have liked to see at least half a dozen people die before he did." Wow, he's mended fences with some he wishes dead. He has antagonized many others on social media. He has tangled with the likes of Angel Gotti. Shout out to Angel Gotti, the eldest daughter of the late Gambino crime family boss John Gotti, who died in prison in 2002. Angel Gotti is a prominent voice among the mob genre of YouTubers. "I feel the need to defend my family, and I also think people like Anthony Areola should be out here calling other people rats," Angel Gotti said. Areola has a small cadre of defenders. Yeah, he has a little group of, defenders that defend him online. That's cool. Let them defend him. I mean, everybody needs people to defend them. But let me finish this article. "I think it's really disrespectful what you did to this man by going back to that social club. But it's not about my personal opinion. It's about the facts. Let's get back to it." Angel Gotti, I see you got the membership. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. What's good, everybody? My bad I haven't got to the chat. I've been busy reading this. I appreciate everyone who's taking the time to check this out. All right. He has a small group of comrades, many of who he met in prison, who have also turned against him, who have also turned against the mafia. And he has detractors. Just ask his garage. Yo, the article says he has detractors. Just ask his garage. Check this out. I'm going to highlight it. Areola has a small comrades of defenders, many of who he met in prison, who turned against the mafia. He also has detractors. Just ask his garage. Ha! That's hilarious. He says he can withstand the pressure. He can withstand the pressure. The YouTube world is as treacherous as the mafia, but there's no physical violence. So it's perfect for me. He said with a grin. Wow. And then this is just Anthony Areola's timeline of what he did. And here, let me just read this to you. 1990, Anthony Areola was arrested and charged with firing a gun out of a car. He was released from jail the following year. My boss, Al Bruno, invites Areola to start working for him. Illegal gambling and loan sharking rackets. That was probably a bad move for Al Bruno. 2003, Areola takes part in back-to-back plots to murder Al Bruno, a low-level mob associate, Gary Westerman. This is the year Areola ascended from being a mob soldier to a made man by the Genovese crime bosses in New York. 2010, Areola and others are arrested and charged with the murder of Bruno and Westerman. Areola turns government witness and enters the witness protection program. And that was only like 4 months after he got arrested. I think it was 4 or 6 months after he got arrested. He could not stand it in prison. So, 2011, Areola testifies in the first of 2 murder trials in Southern District of New York. Freddie Ty Diaz in New York, Genovese crime family boss of murder conspiracy, and others were sentenced to life in prison. Negro died in prison. Springfield mobster Felix Taglianese, paid hitman Frankie Roach also pleaded guilty to Bruno conspiracy and were sentenced to 4 years and 8 years, respectively, behind bars. 2012, Areola testifies in a second federal trial against fellow mobster Emilio Fusco. Fusco is acquitted of murder, but convicted of racketeering, sentenced to 25 years behind bars. 2014, Areola sentenced to 99 years in federal prison and is what known in a mob circle as the Rat Camp and located. His location isn't disclosed then. 2017, Areola is released from prison, leaving behind the witness protection program and returning to Springfield. 2020, he begins sharing tales of his mob life on YouTube. 2013, Areola is featured in a 7-part Vox Media podcast, Up Against the Mob, the Springfield Crew. And that's all we got, folks. That's all she wrote. So, you guys be the judge. He mended fences. He says that he is good with Calvinese. Albert Calvinese is up in this social club all the time. I met him in the social club. Seemed like an all right guy. I didn't know that he's cool with cooperators, but hey, everybody's got their own, what they want to be cool with. But whatever. Besides that, I appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch my show. You guys are all great, man. Let me get to some of these comments. Paul, what's up? Rattlata. Let's see what we got here. Finn Feek, what's up, bro? How have you been? Shout out to you, bro. Rest in peace to Gary Westerman. Nose Candy, how are you? What's the shouting for? I don't know. It felt like shouting. Why you like that? I wrote Freddie about 2 months ago. Haven't heard back from him. Hey, maybe you will. Another one of FBS's boyfriends. Now, favorite, Mount Carmel, and the pig in the suit runs the place. Wow, crazy. Insane. Crazy, crazy, crazy. That club should take away his membership. What do you mean? They run it. They all run it together. Like, it's a big, I don't know. It's fucking crazy. All up in the mix. All up in the mix. All up in the mix. Shout out to Freddie Diaz. Shout out to Ty Diaz. Shout out to all of their family who was affected by all of this. Shout out to the real guys up in Springfield who don't associate with people like this. Shout out to you because there's some real people out there. I met them firsthand. Like, there are some great people in Springfield. Like, they're all not treacherous. They're all not like that. I mean, all of Springfield isn't in disarray. You know, a lot of people have walked away from life and they're doing the right thing, and they try to help people and they set forth a good example. Some other people don't. I mean, hey, it's whatever you're going to choose, right? I guess that's how it goes. But I mean, some people choose to do the wrong thing. Some people choose to do the right thing. I'm not here to judge that. I'm just here to read you guys the facts of what's out there, articles, whatever we got going on. And I'm going to bring you the realest content out there. I want to give a big shout out to Angel Gotti. Thank you for joining me today, Angel. You are absolutely great. Make sure you guys check out the membership, because I'm going to be dropping some exclusive content there. And I have a major announcement. I told you guys, major announcement, right? You guys want to get to it? Should I let you know now, or should I wait? Should I wait a little bit? I should wait. Maybe I should wait. Nah, I could tell you now. Here, let me get it. Okay. This is the big announcement, right? Bill Staxx, me, Bill Staxx, will be featured on coming soon. Stay tuned, man. Hit the like, subscribe, notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Till next time. And remember, don't be a bitch.